If you want to publish a book, but you feel stuck, out of time, and you don't know what to do next, then it's time to finish the damn book. Here's your host, Susie Schafer.
Welcome to this episode of Finish the Damn Book. I'm your host, Susie Schafer. My guest today is Ralph Patrick, who has traveled extensively to Haiti, Cambodia, and Sierra Leone, and has lived both in Papua New Guinea and Scotland. He served as a volunteer for the American Heart Association, Leukemia Society of America, the Alzheimer's Association, and the Iona Community in Scotland, and is currently the chairman of the board for Ray of Hope Ministry to help children in Cambodia. In addition to serving a faith community in Colorado, Ralph is a spiritual director, dementia consultant, and an inspirational speaker. He enjoys spending time with his daughters and 3 grandchildren, mountain hikes, traveling, reading, and writing, all of which provide personally powerful reminders to the presence of God. Ralph is the author of the best-selling book, Losing Faith, Leaving Ministry, Loving God, a personal pilgrimage to the Isle of Iona. Welcome, Ralph.
Hey, Susie. Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks. It's always good to see you. So we're going to kind of dive right in and talk a little bit about what your process was like when you were writing and publishing your books. Was there something that was specifically or emotionally challenging or frustrating when you were doing that?
Well, it was a long process, as you know, and I think the most frustrating part was simply deciding whether or not it was worthy to be published. And it was the result of really meeting you and working with you that I made it over that writer's block or that publishing block, if you want to call it that, and received the encouragement necessary to go ahead and publish it. So I would say that was one of the most difficult challenges in the process.
How long did it actually take you to write the book?
About 8 years.
Wow.
From beginning to end, about 8 years.
That's a lot of dedication.
Yeah, well, it started out as kind of a personal journal, diary entries on my experience at Iona, and then it expanded from there to include essentially the spiritual memoir and numerous writes and rewrites. Long before I ever met you, I was going through the self-critical, self-editing process.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
I'll bet it does.
Did you have any aha moments while you were writing this book?
Oh, yeah. And I think that was one of the benefits of it. There are numerous aha moments, not only from the perspective of, oh, I didn't realize that particular component of the journey, but also just the self introspection that was a result of doing it. So, for example, for me, being a person of faith, I realized that in the midst of the challenges and the difficulties and the dark night of the soul, that along the way, there was a kind of an illumination process and a guidance that was bigger than me. And there was healing that was occurring all along the journey. And it was really beneficial to write the book because I could more easily have a more accurate perspective on that process and to see kind of the bigger picture, if you will, on what was going on. And that was really elucidating for me and incredibly beneficial. The other aha moment, quite frankly, thanks to you and to our friend Greg, was that this was something that could be beneficial to other people, that it wasn't just my own journey or spiritual memoir, but it actually might have value for other people. And I think that was a big surprise for me because I hadn't seen it in that light, that it was actually something of value for others.
Yeah, I can remember us having those conversations and you were self-doubting. I
Yeah.
was like,
Oh, yeah.
no, you listen to me. I'm telling you
Yeah.
the truth. This is actually going to help people.
Yeah. We are our own worst critics, aren't we?
Yeah, that's so true. Now, next week marks the 1 year anniversary of your book being launched.
Oh
So
my goodness.
congratulations on that. I can't believe it.
Thank you.
Years gone by. What types of results and responses have you gotten since you published your book?
Enormously positive. There was one bad review on Amazon, which wasn't even a review. It was just like a 1 star. And I don't know where that came from, and I don't want to know. But other than that, all of the reviews and the reactions, responses have been incredibly positive. In fact, just this morning, I had a conversation with someone who recently read the book and completed it, and they were incredibly thankful. And they said, that not only did it help them to kind of put some of their own experiences into a better light, but they felt like it was something that really could benefit more people. It's just, kind of too bad that more people don't have access to it or don't read it or something like that. But yeah, it was incredibly positive.
So you've worked a lot with people who have dementia. In fact, you mentioned this in your book that your mom had dementia and you were a caregiver for her. What type of work do you do now with dementia patients?
Yeah, so my mom's journey was very formative, of course, and it launched me into this world that nobody really wants to be part of, the world of dementia. And as a result of that, I worked full time with the Alzheimer's Association, but I left that in order to begin working individually with care partners or care companions, as I prefer to call them, people who are carers for their loved ones, and also for people who are making this journey with some form of cognitive impairment or neurological challenge. And what I do is I connect them with resources, I offer support, encouragement. I try to shed a different light, give them a different perspective on this. Obviously, provide some compassion, some experience, hopefully some helpful hints as to how they might be able to more effectively navigate this unknown, untraveled path of dementia.
How does that work alongside your faith and the work that you do in the faith community?
How does it work alongside my faith?
Yeah.
Boy, that's a good question. How does it work alongside my faith? Well, I think there's an existential question that everybody asks during their life, but especially when one faces what I call the dark night of the soul. And this dementia journey prompts those existential questions. What's the purpose of this? Why is this happening? What is my life going to be like? What has my life been? Those types of questions. And those are the questions that faith helps us to answer. Thomas Merton said there are primarily two important questions in life. Uh, One is, who is God? And the other question is, who am I? And by answering one question, one will discover the answer to the other. And I really think, from my experience, that this whole realm of dementia thrusts people, catapults people into this realm of the existential. What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of life? What's the meaning of my life? And those types of things. So, yeah, I think I'm well equipped or have the privilege actually of helping people to address those types of questions.
Mm. Yeah. And I think that your book is a great example of that too, that you have actually walked the walk and talked the talk. And now you can share your experiences with others.
Yeah, and our ego tells us, or at least it told me, well, I've been a good person and I've done what I'm supposed to do. And why is this now happening? Why did this happen to my mother? Why did this horrible disease happen to her? And why did these things happen to me? And what does this all mean? And what does one do with this? How does one respond to it? So, yeah, that's partially, I think, what the book was about, that existential struggle and crisis that I think everyone faces in our life, if we're fortunate, right? If we're
Right.
fortunate, we'll all come up against something like that.
Yeah, those are the best learning and growing experiences is when you're challenged with something that's really difficult and you have to figure out how to get through it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite questions that I like to ask people are your intuition. Like, how do you see your intuition working for you? When is a time that you've used it and it's worked and you knew to follow it? when was the time that maybe you didn't, and what was the result?
Yeah. So in my previous religious life, intuition played absolutely no part,
Mm,
or at least I was told that intuition wasn't to play a part, that one only trusted certain things about God or about the Bible or about the church or what have you. But interestingly enough, the process of walking through that dark valley resulted in me trusting my intuition. And the best example of that is the compulsion that I felt to go to Iona.
mm,
And it was completely illogical. It made no sense. It made no sense to quit my career. It made no sense to sell my house. It made no sense to leave my life as I knew it. But it was this incredible, compelling force that was just pushing me forward. And the intuition that said, no matter how illogical or wrong this might seem, I know deep inside that this is right, that this is what needs to be done. And I'm really grateful that I followed that intuition. And as you know, things turned out well. You know, the book ends with the end of my time at Iona, and I didn't know what was going to happen after I left Iona. You know the rest of the story, Susie, and you know that things turned out better than I could have ever expected. But even if they hadn't, I still would not regret having followed that intuition, followed that internal call, that destiny, or as Joseph Campbell says, follow your bliss.
mm. Yeah. And I think it's interesting. I think when people realize that if they just followed their intuition more, that they'd have less regret in their life, because they would know, regardless of the outcome, it's something that I needed to do. I feel kind of like, you followed your intuition with your book too. Like, there were moments when you had doubt, but you kept on going. And so, yeah, because otherwise you wouldn't have that book. That book supports the work you do, and it connects you with more and more people, and it's helping people. And so, yeah, your intuition was spot on with saying, okay, I actually need to publish this book.
Exactly. And we're provided signposts along the way. The question is, do we listen to them? Do we see them? Do we follow them? And with the book specifically, you were one of those signposts. And it happened at just the right time. So it's a question of recognizing that and then, yeah, following the direction, following those people that are placed in our path, that are put there to help lead us and guide us and, show us the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, as you know, I love to pull cards. What do you think? Should we pull some cards for the listeners here and see what comes out today?
Sure, of course.
Okay. This is one of my favorite things to do, is to just see what does God, the universe, want us to know. Do you have a specific topic that you want to ask about?
Not right offhand.
Shall we just ask, what information or what guidance does our listeners need to know based on our conversation?
Sure, that sounds great.
Okay, great. Let's see. Oh, this is so interesting. The first card out is a 51 card. So 5 + 1 reduces to a 6. 6 is the number of love. And so this card is Milk and Honey. And this was one of my favorite ones because it reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. It's got the blue gingham tablecloth, which is like Dorothy's pinafore. And then it's got the rainbow, which is like, somewhere over the rainbow. But then there's this little elephant that's swimming and like splashing about in a bowl of milk and honey. And so what this card tells us is that when we do things with love, that it takes us to that, place of milk and honey, of bliss, of joyousness, right? Yeah, I like that. We got the 47 card. So 4 + 7 is an 11. 11 is the number of fate and destiny. This is go the distance. So this is a message to our listeners saying, even when you have doubt, when you're writing your book and you're thinking about, oh, can I actually get this done? This is so hard, right? Just go the distance, keep on going. The image on the card is of a cheetah, and a cheetah goes fast, but a cheetah also knows when it has to conserve its energy in order to get to the finish line. There's a little finish line flag there. So it's saying, keep going. I'm also hearing sometimes I get songs that pop into my head. The line from Dory, which is keep on swimming, right? Just keep swimming. So it's kind of that. You've got to go the distance. It is not a marathon, or it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You have to just keep going and preserve your energy when you need to, and just keep moving forward and you'll get there. And then the last card today is a 2. 2 is at the beginning of a cycle. So it's saying starting a new cycle. And it's really interesting too, because right now we're in between 2 Virgo. The Virgo new moon is the 22nd, 23rd of this week of August. And there's a second one in September. Both are Virgo new moons, which is fascinating to me because Virgo is all about putting one foot in front of the other, organizing your thoughts, writing them on paper, staying in the idea of, okay, I've got a plan, right? So you've got 2 Virgo new moons back to back, which is a really, really important time for us to all figure out what are the things that we want to accomplish and achieve, but how do we do that? We've got to put one foot in front of the other because it's the long haul, right? So the card that came out is a 2, which is the yin card. Now, the yin is the feminine energy of receiving, and the cup on this card is empty, meaning it is able to be filled. So you have to be in the mode of receiving and allowing things to happen in order for you to get to that place of milk and honey. So those are our cards for today.
Nice cards.
Nice message. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share?
I would say don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt your intuition. Don't doubt your ability. Don't be too self-critical, and follow your bliss.
Mm.
And really, if one has, this is a plug for you, and you didn't put me up to this, but I think if you have the opportunity or are vacillating or questioning, work with Susie. You were terrific in the process. So that would be my words of wisdom. Yeah.
Well, thanks for that plug. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, they don't call me the book doula for nothing. It really is like birthing a baby, except that you're birthing a book. So yeah. And then how can people find you and reach out to you? Because I'm sure that there's people that are going to listen to this podcast and say, hey, I have a family member with dementia, or I want some other resources, or I need help. I mean, how can people find you?
Yeah. So I have a website based on my experience at Iona. It's called the Celtic Compass. And so just go to thecelticcompass.com, or you can email me directly, rwepatrick@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Or they can contact you and you can put them in touch with me.
Well, there's always that too. And of course, everybody knows you can find my website at Finish the Book Publishing. Reach out to me. There is a connect button on there. And, I'm happy to make connections for people. That's part of what I do, is make connections for people to make sure that they're getting the right resources, the right people. And especially, what you do is such important work in today's world, especially. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And, unfortunately, oftentimes people think that they can make this journey by themselves, whether it's publishing the book or the dementia journey. And I just don't think that's a wise way to do it. I think people don't know what they don't know. And that's why we have people put in our lives that will help us walk this path.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for being here today. This has always been fun chatting with you.
Thanks for having me. Very much.
Thank you. If you found this interesting, I encourage you to join me for the next episode, and be sure to subscribe. Every week, one lucky listener who subscribes and posts a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes will be entered into a drawing for the grand prize, a private VIP day with me, valued at $25,000. So be sure to subscribe and post a review. Until then, keep on writing so you can finish the damn book. We'll see you next time.
So that's it for today's episode of Finish the Damn Book. Head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe to the show. One lucky listener every single week that posts a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes will win a chance in the grand prize drawing to win a $25,000 value private VIP day with Susie Schafer herself. Head on over to finishthedamnbookpodcast.com and pick up a free copy of Susie's gift. And join us on the next episode.